Welcome back, lovely listeners, to Bend and Snatch, your one stop shop for all things strength and flexibility. I'm your host, Penny, and today I am joined by a very special guest, Elana Jones. Elana, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Penny?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for doing this with me today. So, for anybody listening, I met Alana maybe 2 or 3 years ago at a range of strength weekend in Manchester, where we learnt loads of really cool strength and flexibility stuff and some old time strongman stuff. What have you been doing since then?
Gosh, honestly, loads has changed, I think, since then. I can't believe it's been 2 or 3 years ago, but I think not that Instagram numbers mean much, but I think when I met you, I think I had like 2,000 Instagram followers, and now I've got 40,000, which is crazy.
That is crazy. You're basically famous now.
I know, no, not at all. But no, I just kind of focused on like my social media a lot more and just trying to improve my offerings a lot more. So I feel like I'm a different Alana to the Alana that you originally met, like in terms of like, I don't know, my experience and yeah, and everything. But yeah, that's just been working hard, just making sure that everything is improving and getting better. So yeah.
Love that. What are you focusing on at the moment personally in your own training?
Ooh, so I've kind of like branched out a lot more actually, which is crazy because I still focus very much like my coaching on my flexibility training mostly. But when you met me at the Range Strength Weekend, I was just all about like flexibility all the time. That's all I wanted to do, which I still am very passionate about it, of course. That's why we're here. But I started running. So
I
I'm
saw.
loving running a lot. I've joined the running cult and I love it. And then in terms of like flexibility, I'm just kind of maintaining what I've got at the moment. I've got no like huge flexi goals that I'm like striving towards, and I'm just happy with that at the moment. So I've been striving towards loads of flex goals for ages. So I'm just kind of branching out. I'm trying some new things. I'm just kind of enjoying everything fitness has to offer at the moment. So I'm just going a bit all over the place.
It's great. I love that. I've been doing that as well. I started running again this year, and I think running definitely makes flexibility much harder, but
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I think at some point it should be fine, right?
I'm able to maintain all my flexibility. Like I haven't been focusing on trying to increase it loads, but it definitely I do feel a little bit tighter than I usually do. But it's fine. Like I'm happy with my choice. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I like that I'm doing multiple things at the moment and I don't like one particular focus. I'm just kind of reaching around and doing loads of different things, which I know is a lot kind of akin to what you do. I know you do loads of I'm just enjoying it all at the moment. So who's to say that I won't go back to really honing in on a particular thing in the future? But I feel like fitness should just be enjoyed no matter like whether you want to just focus on one thing, whether you want to try multiple things, like just do whatever serves you. And you can also ebb and flow as like life goes on. I think you don't have to tie yourself to one particular identity. You can change your opinion, you can change what you do, and it's not really a problem. But I think sometimes it can be kind of like scary when people know you as like, oh, like she's the bendy one, she's a flexible one, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm running and I'm lifting weights, and they're like, what? You don't just do flexibility? I'm like, oh. So it's a bit scary, but yeah, you just gotta own it and just do what's right for you.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really important, like, as a human to be quite rounded in the training that we do. Like, focusing on different things at different times is cool, but having, like, a wider array of the stuff that you can do feels really important because as we like walk through the world, those different abilities play a different role in different scenarios. And as we get older, those different abilities play a different role as well. And if we're missing a big chunk of things because it doesn't necessarily align with whatever optimal for that specific thing is, we're missing out on a lot of stuff.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I agree. I think it's just always good to do a little bit of everything and not go too crazy on like one particular thing. It's always good to like just do a bit of both, a bit of everything. Good for our
What what
fitness.
what was it that drew you to specializing in flexibility in the first place?
Oh, yes. When I was younger, I was a dancer. So I was immediately like, exposed to the world of flexibility. Like if you do dance, you will do some kind of flexibility training. It's just innate. It's just what you do. Not that necessarily you have to be flexible to be a good dancer. That is not true. But if you've been to dance training, you have done some flexibility training. And I was just so fascinated. Like, as soon as we started, like, learning about it, I was like, "This is great." If anything, I was more interested in the flexibility than I was the dance. Like, I just love the idea of how we can train our bodies to move in ways that you haven't been able to move before. I just thought that was absolutely insane. Like, I loved the thought of that. So I would go home from dance class and I'd research it. I'd ask my teacher questions. I would just live and breathe it. It was like my childhood passion. And then I just kind of grew up and I've always had that training in my life. I've always kind of made sure I've done it throughout my gym training, no matter what phase of my life I'm in. I've always made sure that I've put an emphasis on flexibility training because I just love it. I just think it's so cool that you can make your body do things that are like people go, whoa, that's amazing. Like, I just love doing things that make people like be like, wow. And I like wowing myself as well. So when I kind of got into fitness a bit more like my teens, so I kind of left like the dance behind. I kind of went into more like strength conditioning, still kept my flexibility training. And I thought, you know what, would love to be a personal trainer. And at the time I was in uni, I was doing a law degree and I did some work experience in a law firm. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. So I qualified as a PT in my second year of uni and kept doing my law degree, also did a master's after that, which is crazy. I kept going, still built this along the side. And when I was teaching my clients about like stretching, just to make sure I integrate it into everybody's sessions in some way because it's important. Um, and I didn't really put too much of an emphasis on it at the start of my PT journey. I was kind of just trying to figure out where I fitted in the fitness realm. Um, then some of my clients would be like, "That's so interesting. That's so cool. Would love to learn more about it. I'd love to do the splits. I'd love to do this." And I was like, "Hmm, okay." I didn't realize people were interested in that. I didn't think people cared. I thought it was just like a me thing. Um, and then lo and behold, there's a whole Instagram community of us, and it's great. um, yeah. So my passion derived from dance, and then I kind of got into it just from people showing an interest in it, and I didn't realize that people were interested in it. And now here we are. We've got a business and it's about teaching people how to get flexible. And childhood Alana is living her best life. Like, I love that for her. I'm
I
glad
love
we're
that.
here.
That's great. I'm really happy for childhood Alana as well. I think with flexibility, there's this ongoing like discussion at the moment about how it doesn't work amongst people who I don't think have done much training in flexibility before. And a lot of people have this idea of what flexibility training looks like that is mostly just doing a couple of like 30-second haphazard stretches at the end of something. And then they wonder why they don't get any better. Can you go into a little bit the ways that people can train flexibility? Is it the same as when you're training strength and when you're training endurance, or does it have to be something else? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the way that I coach flexibility, I know how you coach flexibility as well, is it very much mirrors to traditional like strength and conditioning training, which is a bit of a weird way to say it because yeah, you just think of stretching as you said, is just 30 seconds and then, oh, I'm going to be magically flexible. And sure, like genuinely, there are some people out there that that works for, and that is great. And I'm happy for them. And but there's people like me and you and other people in the world that that's just not worked for and it won't work for. So then people do that and think, well, stretching doesn't work. But you need to make sure that you're doing multiple sets, multiple reps, make sure you're strengthening your end range of motion, making sure that you're actually making measurable progress. Like, are you just holding a stretch and hoping for the best, or are you actively pursuing getting deeper range, improving your form, holding it for longer, adding more repetitions, more sets, holding it for longer? There's so many things you can do that people haven't explored and they haven't tried to apply the principles like they do with their other training into their flexibility training. And that's why they say it doesn't work. And they just don't they think that everyone that's flexible is naturally flexible when I think luckily on Instagram at the moment, like it's really becoming apparent that not everyone's born flexible, not everyone's always been that way. And I'm loving that there's more and more people saying, "Hey, I got flexible in my 40s, my 30s, my 20s. I didn't do it as a kid. I actually did it as I was when I got older. And this is my before pictures, this is my after." Like, you can see like people are learning how to get flexible and they're doing it by how you'd do any other goal, any endurance goal, any strength training goal. That is how we are doing it.
What would that look like when it comes to like measuring your flexibility progress over time? Like with squats, it's obvious, right? either going more heavy or you're doing more reps, but what does it look like with flexibility?
Yeah. So with flexibility, um, if you're wanting to make more progress, then it'll be about holding it for like longer periods of time. So maybe initially you're holding it for 30 seconds and you're doing that for 2 sets. So maybe you're now wanting to try and increase that to 40 seconds. Maybe you're looking to increase it even more, like kind of going upwards on that time frame. Maybe if you're doing like a strength based exercise, so one that you're doing like repetitions of, is maybe you start with 8 reps and you do 5 reps. Maybe you're going to do a paused repetition. So you're going to do 8 reps, pause the bottom for 2, come back up. Maybe you are going to have a target to work towards. So let's say you're reaching for your toes, you're going to reach for a yoga block, and then you can turn the yoga block down, reach a bit further, turn it down again, reach a bit further. So then you can actually measure how far you're going. So it's just actually having these tangible things to track. Like if you've ever had a personal trainer or used a uh, fitness app of sorts, you can write down the reps you did, the sets you did, the weight you used, how long you did something for. It's just all the same thing, and make sure you're tracking those measurable um things and just make sure you're doing it.
I think measuring stuff really makes a big difference, especially like I find taking photos of things can be really valuable as well because you might feel like things aren't getting any better and things aren't changing.
Hmm.
Maybe you consistently can still only hold something for 30 seconds and it's always really hard. Those 30 seconds are always hell. And you're like, this is still awful. But if you take photos, you can be like, oh, actually, it's still only 30 seconds, but I'm an inch lower than I was 6 months ago. And that's really good for like knowing that you're making progress and like in your soul being like, okay, no, it's working. I should keep going because sometimes it's really easy I think to lose that motivation and that will and be a bit disheartened when it's slow because flexibility training is hard.
It is hard and it is slow and it takes, like when people say like, how long is it going to take me to my splits? I'm like, like maybe a year, and they're like, they do not like to hear that response. But that's the truth. But yeah, I completely forgot about pictures. But yeah, absolutely. Like, because you'll feel, as you said, you'll feel like you've not done anything. And then you look back and like, I actually did.
That's been me this year with my side split because I've basically been complaining for the whole year that it's still rubbish. And then the other day I realized that I was loads lower than I was at the beginning of the year. And I was like, oh, if I wasn't taking photos and videos of everything, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that I was that much further down. I'd still just be annoyed that it was still hard and that I wasn't the whole way down yet.
Absolutely. Well, I can see your middle split progress. I've been seeing your stories and they improved so much. You should be very proud.
Thank you. It's been a really slow process. It's been so slow. And people give 12 months as like an estimate for average. And I would say that I'm a relatively flexible person. And I'm probably, it's September, like 20 months in to training my splits, my side splits on a
Hmm.
regular basis. And I still can't go the whole way down. So for anyone listening who's been doing a 6 week split program and didn't get a split in 6 weeks, just know most people don't get a split in 6 weeks.
Absolutely. Especially at middle splits. Like my time frame for middle splits be like long, like front splits, like it's about like a year, but obviously longer is great. Like everyone's different, but middle splits, yeah. 2 plus, keep it going, keep it counting, but you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing about flexibility training, and I think that's the reason that most people don't think it's possible to become more
Hmm.
flexible, because it takes so much longer than you think it does, and you actually have to try so much harder than you think you do. People have
Hmm.
this idea of what stretching is, I guess, that it's like
Hmm.
relaxing, and that has done everyone a disservice.
Hmm. Absolutely. No, it's hard. It's I always use the phrase of like you're learning how to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable. And I always make it clear like it is going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to go into this stretch. It's going to be like, oh, it's the best feeling ever. I love it. Like you're probably going to want to wince. You're probably going to want to pull a face, because it's going to be uncomfortable. But it's just about like faking that it actually feels comfortable. You have to convince yourself that it's comfortable. In turn, it convinces other people, because people see me stretch and they're like, how do you look like so calm, so chill? I'm like, I've just learned how to be zen, even though I'm not zen right now.
It's a dancer skill because a lot of the aerialists I work with have that skill as well, where they can be doing a thing that is really, really hard, but their face is so relaxed that I'm like, it's not hard enough. We need to make it harder. They're like, no, Pen, this is actually
Yes.
max effort. I'm like,
No,
that
I
is
get
not a
that feedback
skill.
all the time.
That's not a skill that I have. That's a performer's skill. I think coming from a martial arts background, my face is always like this. There's always like
Yes.
maximum face. What? Okay, so coming back to people thinking that flexibility doesn't, I've seen a lot of adverts lately from people who have clearly spent a very long time training flexibility, now telling people that flexibility doesn't work and what they need instead
Yeah.
is mobility. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that. What
Let's
is the
talk about.
difference between flexibility and mobility? I guess let's start there.
So there essentially isn't a difference, but people have coined there to be a difference. So, I mean, I use the word mobility sometimes now just because people don't seem to understand like that they're both the same. Um, People see mobility as active flexibility as active dynamic movement. So all the strengthening based flexi exercise you see, that is what they coin as mobility. But flexibility has always meant that. Flexibility has always had four categories. So you have your static active, you have your um, static passive, you have active dynamic, and then you have dynamic passive. Yeah, I always forget the fourth one because it's a weird one. It's like you have to be. It's like basically physio moving you into a stretch position. So I'm always like, oh, forget that one. So yeah, they've always been the four umbrellas what we know flexibility to be. As time's gone on, for whatever reason, that's been lost, and now people are like, so flexibility is passive and mobility is active, but they are one and the same. They're both the same. So I've tried to reduce my anger towards the word mobility, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to move with the times. If that's what the people think, that's what the people think. That's fine. I will join the people, but I don't like it when people say, stop stretching. It's not like you need to be doing mobility and not flexibility. I'm like, you're contradicting yourself. Like, it's just so annoying. But I don't mind people using the term as long as they kind of also don't crap on flexibility because that's basically what they're doing. So, and it's annoying.
Oh, in posts that are like active movements, I'll use the word mobility sometimes because that's how the algorithm
Hmm,
sends it to the right people.
exactly. Yes.
But telling people to to not do flexibility and do mobility instead is so crazy to me because firstly, the people in these videos are people who've clearly spent years working on their splits because they'll be doing like the splits in the
Hmm.
video or something. There's no way you did that accidentally. You don't just like
Hmm.
happen upon a split. You sat in that
Yes.
for
Yes.
ages.
Yes.
And it feels a little bit predatory because they're like, hey, here's this magical thing that will solve all of your problems and stop doing this other thing, even though they're all kind of the same thing. And now I'm just giving you 50% of the thing instead of 100% of the thing. And I find it really frustrating. And I
Yes.
don't know what the solution is to that because I guess social media really crafts how language is used now.
Mm. Yes, that's why I'm like I say, I used to just be so like anti using the word mobility. I'm like, no, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use flexibility because that's the proper term. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, not everybody is going to know like what we know, so it's not fair to me for me to be like, don't use mobility. That's just like so I don't want to do that. So I'm not angry at the word. I'm just angry at the way it's been construed by people that have obviously done passive stretching, have obviously done like the static side of flexibility to get to where they are, and then claim that they didn't use static stretching at all. It's just not true. It's not true. I don't believe them. But it's just annoying because not everyone will know that. So all I just try and do is in my username on Instagram, I literally have freedom and flexibility because I do want to try and keep the essence of flexibility. And then hopefully you'll see through my page that I'm talking about so many different types of stretching. So hopefully people can make that connection between, well, Anna talks about like that active stuff, but her username says like flexibility and she says that she's a flexibility coach. So maybe it means the flexibility is not also bad. So I just try not to, I don't demonize the word flexibility. I just try and yeah, just kind of exist and just keep putting it out there into the world and hopefully the right people will just pick up on it and receive the message. But yeah, and hopefully the people that are falling for the influencers that are trying to sell them to not static stretch at all because it doesn't work, will eventually come to the light side eventually.
We can hope. You mentioned the 4 different kind of categories of flexibility training. Can you give the listeners a couple of examples of each of those so they have an idea of what that might mean?
Yeah, exactly. Um, Static passive, that'll be where you are not moving, your muscles are relaxed, and basically where you're holding a stretch. So this is what people see flexibility as. So it's like if I'm just touching my toes, I'm trying to relax through my muscles, I'm trying to reach for the floor, and I'm just trying to staying still. So that's your static passive. Your static active is also known as like an isometric. So this is where your muscles are working, they are active, but you're not moving. So think of this as like a lunge hold. So you're sinking into a lunge and then you're hovering just above the floor and you're just stood there still. And then you have your active dynamic. So this is where you are using your muscles, but you are moving. So just think like a high kick. You're just whacking your leg up, using those muscles to pull it into position, and your body is moving. And then you think about your static dynamic passive, that's the one. So I told you I was forget it. So again, like I said earlier, like think about if let's say you're at a physio, whether you've been to one or not, you're lying on like the physio table. They say we're going to do a hamstring stretch. So you put your leg up and you're relaxing it, and then they're pushing that leg for you. So you're not using your muscles to put your leg in that position. Somebody else is doing it for you. So you're relaxed, but you're moving. So that is the 4 categories.
What would the benefits be of using any of those over the other or, like, using a combination of those within a flexibility session?
So everyone is different. I always try and ascertain like whether people respond better to more strength work, more passive work, because everyone's like a little bit different. There's always benefits to using a bit of everything. I will never program a program where it's solely one or solely the other, because if you just focus on, let's say, passive flexibility, you're not building any strength. Let's say you're a dancer, a martial artist, an aerialist, you need to be able to use that flexibility to get yourself into these positions. You can't just be pulling your muscles around, hoping for the best. Like you need to be able to actively use them. So if you're only doing passive stretching, you're not building any strength in those lengthened positions, in those end ranges. So your flexibility is essentially like just not usable. What you can do is be flexible, which is cool. That's awesome. I'm happy with that. But to be able to use your flexibility, we need to be doing strength work. So that is going to help you to, yeah, like I said, like lift your leg up without having to pull it up. It's about doing like a standing split instead of doing it on the floor, like you're pulling your leg into the air and you're doing it standing. So that's where the benefits come in with both of them. So the passive flexibility gets you that range in the first place. The active flexibility allows you to use that range. But there is benefits for just choosing what suits you and your body best. Because I have a lot of clients that the strength stuff has like blown their mind. They've never done it before, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So we'll just go a bit harder on that. But we'll always do some passive stretching. And then some clients, they love the passive stretching. We'll do a little bit more of that. But we'll always do strength work, always, because you need to be able to be strong, keeps you more resilient to injury, not bulletproof. We don't say that term because it's not true. You can always be susceptible to injury, unfortunately, but being strong in your end ranges will help you to try and safeguard you from being injured. So it is super important to do both.
I find having some of the strength as well in end range is where a lot of cool party tricks then come from because it means that you can like whip out cool tricks, which is harder to do if you don't have control and you're just only able to access range by like being forced into it or by gravity, which
Yes.
is cool, I think, if you can do the party tricks. Why are we doing any of this if it's not for cool party tricks?
Absolutely. I literally say that. I say to people, I'm like, are you here because you need it for your like sport, or are you here just because you want to do cool things? And if you want to do cool things, you're in the right place because I love that for you. Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to be flexible just because it looks cool to be flexible. Because it is cool.
And I think finding those things that you think are cool and fun makes it much easier to maintain consistency of like some sort of fitness regime for the rest of your life. If you're just doing it for like, I don't know, just to do it or to like look good or to perform in a sport or whatever, there's only so far that can take you in terms of like motivation. But if you're doing it because it's cool, I feel like that goes a really long way.
It does. And I think I'm living proof. I always just thought being flexible is so cool. I love it. I think it's fascinating. I love being able to everyone be like, I love being shocking myself. I love it. It's just so awesome to be that person where people are like, how did you do that? And you're like, been training for like years.
I think so a lot of the time if I'm introducing someone to, like, an odd lift, they'll be like, "Oh, so what are the benefits of these?" I'm like, "Well, okay, so these are the, like, body health benefits, sure, but the real benefit is that this is
Fun.
fun. Is
It
this not
is.
really fun? You're not having a great time figuring out how to do this weird shit."
Absolutely. No, I love it. And I love when people, and, I love when people actually come to me, they're like, I don't do dance, I don't do this. I just love it. I'm like, I love you.
What is the coolest feat of flexibility that you have achieved so far?
I was thinking about this, and I think honestly, like, there's loads. I've been so proud of every single milestone that I've achieved in my flexi journey. I think the ones that people find like the most like crazy is doing like my active splits. I've done active splits, so where you just like hover off the floor and you hold it. I've done that with I think like 30-kilogram additional weight over my head.
That's
Like I've got like videos
cool.
on Instagram of me sliding down with like a barbell here and just holding it. And so people find that quite insane. So I did the Van Damme split, so I used the squat rack for it. I just put my legs either side of the
That
squat
must
rack,
have
and one of my
hurt.
videos I just start there. And also probably where you can try and get, like, your head to touch your foot in, like, a pike fold. I've done that a few times, and I think that was quite a crazy one, and that's sort of than it looks. I can't do that cold. There's a lot of things I can do on cold flexibility, meaning I don't have to warm up. That one, I need to warm up. My hamstrings need to be prepped and primed to get my head to touch my foot.
Those are all really cool. Every time I'm doing a standing pike or a seated pike and my head's touching my knee, I'm like, I don't know if my torso's long enough for me to ever get my head to my foot. I don't know if it's within the realm of possibility because I have such a short torso, but I don't know if that's an excuse. And I maybe there are other
I
people with
don't think
short
so.
torsos that can touch their head on their foot. I don't know. I haven't found any short torso people that can do it yet.
No. I think it's also proportion based. It's also like in your anatomy. Like I'm quite in proportion. Like I've always been that way. Like without having to stretch to touch my toes, I can literally just touch my toes because my arms and my legs are pretty much the same length. So I think
That's
my body
handy.
proportion definitely helps with the whole feat. So I there is some truth behind sometimes anatomically feats of flexibility can be harder or even maybe not possible for certain people, but that shouldn't stop you. Like the general flexi rules, you can do it, anyone can do it, but there might just be some little tweaks because of people's anatomy that we need to be in consideration about.
Something I would really love to be able to do one day, once I finally got my side split, is the Van Dam. I think that is one of the coolest things that I've ever seen.
Yes.
There's this woman who's either in Canada or America, I don't know, somewhere over there. And I saw her do it with 50 kilos once, and I was like, no. What?
I
No.
love these people. I
That's
love it. I
wild.
love to see it. It's crazy. I would love. I have not held 50 kilograms whilst doing my Van Damme split, but I'm very happy with my regular Van Damme split.
I mean, any Van Dam split is cool as hell. It's cool as hell. That's basically the main reason that I'm trying to get a side split, just so I can do that. That's what I'm working towards. It's a real
Yes.
long game. 2 years in already, one day.
But just imagine the Instagram post. Imagine
Gosh, right?
it.
I think the coolest thing that I've done, feat of strength, was last year when I slid into the front split holding the barbell. I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I
That
did
is
actually I got a bit carried away and I made it too heavy and I did actually tear my hamstring doing that, but it was fine. It was mild. It was like a grade 1 tear, and it was still worth it. I regret
it's
nothing.
fine. For the Instagram post, like I said, just imagine the Instagram post and was it worth it? I'm gonna say yes.
I mean, it's still up there as one of the coolest things I've ever done. So if I can do a side split holding a weight as well, gosh, that's cool. What do you think are some, like, basic feats of flexibility that normal people should be able to do?
Mhm. So a deep squat, being able to squat as close to astrograph as you can get. Everyone's squat is going to look a little bit different. So what my astrograph squat is not going to look like somebody else's, or my client squats will look different. But being able to sit in your own comfortable deep squat is going to be a game changer for actual general like health. Like being able to sit down and stand up, like you'll take for granted at the ages that probably a lot of we are that are listening to this podcast now. But in the future, you're going to thank yourself for learning how to basically get up and down off the floor. And then you won't be restricted in life to wherever you can sit. So definitely a deep squat. Being able to touch your toes. So I don't need anything crazy, but just being able to reach towards the floor, again, it's just going to help you in life. It's something that everyone can do. Everyone should be working towards getting more flexible hamstrings to reduce just the everyday tightness that we feel from living quite sedentary lives. So it's a really nice kind of thing to work towards, try and just relieve tightness as well as it's cool because everyone wants the toes. Like that's one of the number one goals we would want to do, and I love it. So it's just cool, and and you can pull it out. The amount of people that just want to pull it out and touch the toes, and everyone's like, "It's crazy." Um, Probably also say Cossack squat is a nice one to work towards because that's going to get more of like the wide stance and more of like the inner thighs and the adductors. Um, Again, everyone's Cossack squat look a little bit different, but it is a good one to work towards. And all my clients have been able to achieve the Cossack squat in their own time frame. Oh, and then a back bend, which I know sounds crazy. So be able to do a bridge from the floor. It sounds like that's quite a lot, but actually the bridge is one of the more like accessible things for people. There's quite a lot of entry points to be able to get into a bridge. It doesn't just start by just going from standing into a back bend, hope for the best. Like there's a lot of stages to be able to get into a bridge, and it's one of the ultimate ways to relieve any kind of back tension, back tightness, and just get a bit more bendy there. So get yourself a good coach like Penny, and they'll show you how to do your bridge.
Bridge is an interesting choice. Bridges are hard, but it's a good one because most people don't spend any time extending their spines. We're all flexed all the time, and that's probably not great in the long run to always only ever be one way round.
No, for sure. I mean, there's always some benefit to getting stronger in a flex position. So doing the good old Jefferson curl. I know it gets a bad rap sometimes, but it is a good one to do. And yeah, just getting stronger in that flex position can help with any kind of hunching. Because I'm sat hunch right now, like we're all going to do it. So being able to actually get a bit stronger there is good, but we don't want to just be hunched. We want to be able to extend our spine as well, especially when we live in a sedentary world. So we want to be able to go the other way, counter stretch, and actually build a little bit more strength in the opposite direction, just for general spinal.
Yeah, I love that. I would add some overhead mobility to the list. So being able to get both your arms straight up slash
Absolutely.
being able to hang. Are they both the same feet? I feel like they're one and the same feet of
Yeah.
flexibility and
Similar.
strength.
Similar. Yeah.
A lot of people really struggle, I think, to straighten their arms over their head, and that gets harder and harder the longer you stop being able to do it. And that will limit your ability to like reach stuff in the top shelf or put your own things in the overhead compartment. And I think it can
Absolutely.
result in like just pain and discomfort in your shoulders and in your upper back a lot of the time as well. So adding that to the list of things that I think everyone should be able to
Absolutely.
do. What's quite fun about the Cossack squat as well is that once you can do a Cossack squat, then you can learn how to do a Cossack get up. And that's also a great party trick.
It is a great pie trick. And again, people don't understand how you managed to be able to do it, and suddenly it's just cool. It's just so cool. Everything's cool, as we can tell. We all think it's all cool.
I I got a 6-year-old woman doing a Cossack get up. I think last month she managed to do it. We've been working on it for maybe the last 4 or 5 months, on and off, and then she did it unassisted, no hands, just from sitting on the floor to up in a Cossack squat. And I think that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen because you think 6-year-olds they can't be doing things like that, but they absolutely can. Absolutely,
So
100%.
you
It's
can.
within the realm of
Absolutely.
possibility. What do you think are some methods of stretching that people can use just beyond like sitting in stretches when they don't have much time, but they want to fit something into their day or something around the workouts that they're already doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll just be a case of I try for my clients that are like that are struggling to fit everything in, I will try and incorporate it into their workout. So I'll pick like flexi strength exercises, and genuinely doing back squats or goblet squats are one of them. Being able to actually do a squat weighted will help you be able to do a squat passive, which people don't realize sometimes is that they think that they must be able to do a passive squat to the floor before they can do it weighted, but really adding the weight actually helps you in the passive side. So making sure that you're working on your squats in any capacity, but with some load will help you build strength, muscle, flexibility. It's a good all rounder that people just don't see as flexibility, but it is. Lunges in any capacity, you can make them more flexi focused. If you see like the split squats, like the ATG split squats that people do, obviously that is it looks like flexibility exercise, but just doing a regular lunge split squat is flexibility because a lot of people can't get their knee to the floor and then come straight back up. So being able to do a lunge is a feat of good hip flexibility and hip movement. Um, so just make sure you do squats, lunges, think about anything where you're building strength through length. So maybe you're doing like Nordic hamstring curls is a good idea, or reverse Nordic curls where you're doing like lengthening and strengthening the quads. So just really get creative and look at some flexy people on the internet and just see what are they doing in the gym. And then potentially pay for a coach and they can show you. Because yeah, there's a loads of ways where you can get the flexi work in without having to compromise on your other goals that you have in your short time schedule. Like you can just be clever about the exercises that you select and make sure that they cover all of the goals that you have because it is possible. And then always doing like a nice passive stretch cool down at the end because everyone should do that.
How much time does someone realistically need to spend on flexibility stuff to see meaningful progress?
So everyone again is different. And my biggest question that I ask anyone is how much time do you have in your schedule to dedicate to this? Because there is no point me saying, well, I think an hour session once a week is optimal when they're saying, I don't have an hour to give you once a week. I need to like break it down, or maybe I can do like 30 minutes. Like I always ask people and just make sure that it's actually suitable for them. So I don't like to say there's like an optimal session time for people because it's just not realistic and it'll make people feel like they can't do the session or work towards their flexibility because they can't do the time that I've stated them to do. So I try and steer away from saying that you should do this time length of session. I have clients that do 10 minutes every day, but those 10 minutes are purposeful, they're focused, they're concentrated. It's not just 10 minutes of this. Like it's I've set them strategic goals and there's particular exercise that we're doing which are measurable, progressible. So they're seeing the progress of 10 minutes a day. There's other clients that do half an hour. So maybe they'll do like half an hour strength training, half an hour flexi training or flexi strength training if they're combining the two. Maybe some people have an hour to give. So it's just really dependent on you. But I think the key is make sure it's purposeful, make sure you're focusing, make sure that this is like put together to actually work towards your goals. And it's not just something that is just thrown together or thought of on the spot. And you will see progress with any amount of time, but also just know that typically the less you spend on it, the slower your results will be, which is not a bad thing. And also, it's slow progress is still progress. Um, and the more you do, not necessarily, but typically the more you do, the quicker your results will be. But that doesn't mean overtrain. That doesn't mean go crazy. Like I wouldn't recommend any more than like an hour, like 3 to 4 times a week, uh, as like a maximum threshold before we go too crazy. We need to rest. Rest is important. I know there was a lot of information, and it wasn't like a straightforward answer, but I don't think there is a straightforward answer for it.
I think that's fair enough. With flexibility stuff as well, I think if you're trying really hard, then you're going to get DOMs from flexibility training the same as
Hmm.
you do from your strength training. And I think that can take people by surprise sometimes as well. So if you're like trying to work on flexibility stuff, like say you're training for bendier hamstrings and you've really spent some intentional time on a hamstrings focused stretchy session,
Hmm.
you're going to be sore tomorrow the same as you would be if you'd been like sprinting or doing deadlifts. Like it's going to be the same. It might even be more if you're really used to doing those other things because it's the new thing, and being prepared for that is useful. So then when you're doing it, you're like, "Oh no, I've hurt myself. I'm never going to do this again," because you have to do it again if you want to get better.
Yes, absolutely. But no, for sure. As I said, you need to rest. If you don't rest, then you will probably get hurt. You're not guaranteed to get hurt, but you probably will. So make sure you rest.
So for people listening, if what would I'm putting you on the spot now. What would like
Please
a
do.
basic entry level session focused on getting your first back bend look like? Go.
Okay, so we'll start with a active dynamic warm up. So doing a little bit of cardio, whether if you're in a gym, if you're on a treadmill or a bike, just for a little bit, just to actually get the blood pumping around the body. Just actually make sure that your internal body temperature is starting to rise. Because the warmer the body, the more flexible you are. If you're training on cold muscles, you will not be as flexible as when you train on warm muscles. And it's not cheating; it's actually just good. One, to help be a little bit more resilient to injury, and two, you want the best results out of the training that you're doing. So making sure that you're doing a little bit of cardio, nothing too crazy, but just a little bit of something. And then you'll move on to doing a bit of like static active movements, static dynamic active movements. So think about doing like some cobra lifts. I don't know how to describe it, but think about like pushing up onto your hands, like coming down, stretching out through the back, like think like that yoga kind of like movement where people just like push up and down in cobra lying on their front. Um, you will want to work up like the back extension. You want to warm up your shoulders. So maybe you want to do some arm circles, but make sure it's not just swinging it around without thinking about it. Like really try and move in the biggest range of motion you've got. You want to warm up your wrists. So doing any kind of wrist like stretches, whether you're on all fours and rocking backwards and forwards, having a bit of like a move around the wrist, a little bit of a wrist roll, because a lot of people experience wrist pain when they first start doing it, just because you're pushing your entire body weight overhead on your hands basically, which is crazy and is an awesome flexibility feat. Sometimes people experience a little bit of pain. So make sure that your wrists are kind of nice and prepared. And you also want to make sure that your hips are prepared. So doing any kind of like hip circles, because that's a big part of a back bend as well. It's not just the back, it's also about the hips and the glutes. So once you're feeling nice and warm, spend about like 5 to 10 minutes on a warm up. Nothing much longer than that, because you don't want to waste your session on your warm up when you could be getting on with the actual stuff. And then think about maybe doing a little bit of a circuit. So think about maybe picking 3 to 4 exercises and doing them back to back with maybe like 30 seconds to a minute rest in between each circuit. Maybe you can do 2 sets, 3 sets, just 1 set, whatever time you have available to you. Something's better than nothing. Would recommend 2 sets, but yeah, if you can just do one, that is perfect. And then think about hitting those key areas such as your shoulders, your back, your hips and glutes, your wrists, and just making sure you're doing some active work there that's a bit more of a step up than your warm up. So you're still going to do the dynamic active stuff, but now we're going to be a little bit harder because we're warm now. I want to really get into some good progress here. And then for your static passive portion, again, just hitting those same key areas, thinking about actually practicing the bridge itself as well in whatever capacity you're at. So maybe you can push up onto your hands. Maybe you just want to do a modified variation, which there's plenty. I'm sure Penny's got some on their Instagram and I've some on mine. So go and check and you can see some things, because I thought I was going to try and explain them, but it's really hard to explain without doing.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was really helpful. Thank you. Anyone listening, you can go and have a look. Alana's got loads of really helpful little videos on her page. Final question. What is the coolest feat of flexibility that you have ever seen anybody do?
Ooh, was I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of cool things. Like sometimes people think overestimate my abilities. Sometimes people send me stuff to try and they're like, you could do that. I'm like, no, I think not. I'm trying to think of some of the things people have done. There's somebody on Instagram called like B-Boy Kilo, something like that. And I've done some of their challenges before. They do one where they're doing a Cossack squat, but their shoulders are touching the floor the whole time. And I was like, sure, I could probably do that. And I tried and I was like, why can't I touch the floor? Like, I don't know how it was possible. It was insane. Like, I would recommend just going through their page, going through People Curious page on Instagram. I can't remember the exact handle, but I'll have to try and find it after. But the stuff that that person does is amazing. So anything on his page.
I've seen some of his videos, and when he's doing his like forward bending into stuff, sometimes I'm like, maybe maybe he's just missing some vertebrae or something, because how is it possible to be in these positions? But I guess just a lot of practice.
Yeah, I have no clue, but I was humbled when I literally thought that cost it when I was like, yeah, I could do that. I should do that. Could not do it. Could not do it. So maybe I just need to work harder.
We'll try and find this video so I can show you that as well for anybody watching,
Yeah,
so then
dig
you
it
can
out.
see what we're talking about because it is wild.
It is,
Um,
but I feel like people won't appreciate it, like, enough. Because I thought I could do it, and then I couldn't do it, and then that made me think, like, so just trust me, try it. Honestly, you won't hurt yourself, like, just try it. Just do it, okay? And then you'll see.
I feel like that's a solid approach to all sorts of things. When you see something you're like, "That's not that impressive," you should just try
Just
because
try it,
then
then
you'll
you'll
know
know.
how impressive it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time today. This has been really fun. Hopefully, people found it interesting and useful. Do you have any final words for our lovely listeners?
Um, just find what you're passionate about in fitness, whether it's flexibility or not. I found my passion in flexibility. Yes, it was founded from a young age and it's kind of bred into the person I am now. It's followed with me through life, but you don't have to have loved it since a kid. You don't have to love it in the future, but just find what you love. Hopefully it's flexibility, but if it's not, it's fine. Like just do what you love and just focus on like exercise being fun, fitness being fun. It shouldn't be a punishment. It shouldn't be anything that you dread. It should be fun. It should be about learning new things and not being afraid to be a beginner. Like it's absolutely fine to start. Don't be afraid to start. Like, please don't be. So, yeah, just have fun. That's all I want all of you to be able to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's such a lovely way to end because it should be fun. If people want to find you, tell them your Instagram.
There's freedom in flexibility, but in the flexibility, it's two Y's at the end, not one.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for your time today. And thank you, everybody, for listening. If you enjoyed it, leave a 5-star review. If you didn't enjoy it, keep it to yourself. And until next time, see you later.